Hey there, guys. Good morning. It is Rachel Feldman, or maybe you're watching this later. Today, I want to talk about how to structure your coaching sessions. We've had a ton of coaches ask, what is the simplest way to structure your coaching sessions so your client has the best win? So, what I wanted to talk to you about is how I did that with Rachel's Wellness because I found that it was really effective. One of the biggest problems that I see our coaches are doing ongoing emails. I found that in the beginning of my coaching business, doing ongoing emails throughout that entire month or a 3-month process became exhausting, not only for me, but for the client. And so, what I started to do to package my program, package my coaching sessions on the conversion side and also the sales side is that I started to see a client once a week. So, if you think about taking your coaching session, let's just say a 30-day, I did a 60-minute session, then I did a 30-minute session, then a 60-minute session, then a 30-minute. I delivered materials bi-weekly. So we were working on bi-weekly materials, and I'll show you that with Restore Your Gut Health, which I'm going to actually show. But the reason I put in that 30-minute session is I started to see that it was reducing the amount of emails going back and forth. Now, these days, you could add in a platform like Voxer, Voxer, and have some of that, some of those questions that come back and forth, especially for me, because I was doing gut health and detoxification. There were a lot of questions that were coming in. Also worked with a lot of girls that had emotional eating issues. So I felt that that person needed a little extra support than just seeing somebody bi-weekly. If you guys have your coaching packages, drop in the comments what you include in your package as far as time-wise. So just to recap, time was 60 minutes, 30 minutes, 60 and 30. What I did is I delivered the material. So if I started a coaching session, if somebody signed up with me, step number one was I would send them the program that we were working on. I didn't send everything. This is a question that a lot of people ask us about our materials. What I did was I made sure that I sent them the guide and recipes. And I said, I want you to read pages 1 through 10. We're going to be focusing on this for our first session, getting you stabilized, getting the nutrients, the supplements, getting down the practices that we need to do so we can start your month effectively. This same can be true for your 3-month package, guys. And so I made sure that a week before we were starting, that I had that buffer time to be able to even ask questions during that time. I found that being able to be available to my client, and of course they have paid, be available to my client in that time to go back and forth in email also resulted in better wins for my client. So packaging, I kept it really simple. I want you to think about how you're offering your materials. One-on-one, evergreen, do it yourself, a group. If you're doing this one-on-one, you can take materials. Let me just show you. You can take materials and you can still do it in an evergreen fashion. For example, these were bi-weekly ebooks that I used. So this is Restore Your Gut Health weeks 1 and 2. Just like I said, I would send this off to my client. I would say, this is what we're going to be working on for weeks 1 and 2, but why don't we just work on weeks 1? A lot of self-care. So I knew in that time I could have my client get a skin brush, tongue scraper, Epsom salt baths. And we could, of course, talk about really fun things like oil pulling, castor oil packs, and rebounding. I knew in that second week what my focus was going to be. And I was seeing that person bi-weekly. So in that first session, this is what I would cover. In that second session, we covered a lot of questions. And keep in mind, even in your sessions, there's going to be things that come up that maybe are not part of your program or not part of what is considered like that template that you start with. You can also, of course, have this evergreen, and you can even do this with your one-on-one. You can make modules that go with your actual guide. So this is the module that goes with Restore Your Gut Health. You could have these pre-recorded so you can actually send them to your client. Say you meet with your client on Thursday, you could have this delivered to them on a Monday. Similar fashion as you can do with a group. If you're releasing materials and you're having your calls on a Thursday, send this out on like a Sunday night. Send this out on a Monday. Sunday would be better. Same thing if you were doing your calls on a Tuesday, send this out on a Thursday. Give your client that time to really digest it. Have those videos to be like 5, 10, 15-minute videos. You could actually break this up into small little videos. You could actually, if you didn't even want to do videos on the PowerPoint, but you could use this as a kickoff and a wrap-up call, you could actually have little videos on how do you rebound? How do you do Epsom salt baths? This is exactly what I did with my client. Instead of looking just at these ebooks as your guide, understanding your body, alkaline pH testing. One of my favorite things was to have my client do pH testing, and we would have a lot of fun doing pee strips, but I would actually show, of course, I wouldn't show myself peeing, but I would take a glass of pee that I had, test the strip, and then we would talk about the foods to alkaline the body. Week 4, you are what you eat. This I would also, not only were we going into the physical, but I would really go into the emotional eating. So one of the things that I made sure in week 4 is we would talk about stress eating. We would talk about a lot of those, what I call the gut feeling personality, that person who, found that they would unconsciously eat or stress eat or eat when they were upset or hold their feelings in. Weeks 5 and 6, body mind connection, which would lead us right into this. So this is how I structured my sessions. So like I said, in the 5 and 6, I knew that in those sessions that it correlated to in my 60-30, 60-30 package, which is how I structured my month or my 3 months, we would be going through this. And as I said, there's tons of stuff that comes up. And I knew if I was able to get my client these materials before we were seeing each other, I would always say to them, grab your phone, go sit on the toilet or go take a read and see what our focus is for this week. Then, of course, gut health roadblocks. This is where we would then have an opportunity to either dive into some of those additional things, such as candida, which is something I worked on, parasites, autoimmune, or I could also send them to a referral to get testing because I didn't do testing. I knew if you had gone through my program that amount and wasn't feeling better, then it was time to start looking at additional. So snacking, gut health for every day. We talked a lot about how do you transition when you're in eating gut healthy to kind of the rest of the world. What does that look like when you're not actually having recipes for you? Meal prepping, traveling, and then week 8. How do you actually work with your client to that next place and to that next upsell of like where they're actually going to go with you? So when you're thinking about your sessions, make sure that you have a structure for your sessions, go through each of those coaching sessions and see what would be the best way for you to structure your program so that you're teaching, you have the right time. If you want to make sure that you're doing additional emails to make sure that you have boundaries on those emails. I would always say, I'm available to my clients on the weekends, but on Sunday, that was a time that I really kept for myself. So guys, if you have any questions about this, or you have any questions about how to use the content to structure your sessions, please let us know in the group that you saw this, or please let me know if you have any questions. You can always go to yourhealthcoachbiz.com. All right. I will see you guys later. Have a good one. Bye, guys.